Hello friends, welcome back to my channel Vartita Learning Platform, and today we are going to discuss about the implementation of a UDP server and a UDP client and the interaction between the two, how they communicate. Okay, so that is the thing that we are going to discuss today. And before that, I would like to tell you like the description of the theory part of this UDP socket programming has been mentioned in this playlist. If you go to my channel Vartita Learning Platform, here you can see socket programming in C, C++. Here you can come and you can just
Hello friends.
let me just stop it, and this is the last video which I posted. This is socket programming using UDP in C. So you can open this one and you can see about the
good grammar and spelling.
Ad. So let me just close it. Basically, you need to just open it and you can see whatever has been discussed here. Okay, so today I'm going to discuss the code implementation. In the previous video, we discussed about how to create a UDP server and how to create a UDP client. What is the communication model of UDP based server and clients? So that thing was discussed in the last video, and today we are going to see how to write the code. So I have already written the code and I will share it with you guys in the comment section. So let me explain one by one. So this is the server part, UDP server.cpp that I have written. And here what I have done, I have create for the server you need a port, because in case of server you still need to bind to a particular port. So this is the port where I'm binding, and here I have taken two sock header in, which contains the address of this server, address information about the server, and the second one is sock header in, which contains the information about the client. Okay, so the client and server both need to be mentioned here. And in the previous videos, like in TCP, we just saw like we only took the server part, right? But here in case of UDP server, you don't need to have an active connection, so you need to have the information on the client. So that client information comes over this, the other socket in. So this is the other socket address structure, in which we will receive the client information. Okay, so let's see the main function now, how it has been written. Here I have declared one global variable n socket, which is the socket which will be taking the input from taking the data from the receiving the data from the clients. Okay, so I have taken these as the global variables, but this is not a good practice at all. Just for the demonstration purpose, just for the demo purpose, I have taken these variables, but this is not the correct practice. If you are writing a C++ code, then write them inside a private variable inside a class. If you are writing a C code, then you need to have all these things structured in a proper way. Okay, either you need to have them in inside of functions somewhere else. You need to define in it. You need to ensure that these are not tempered by some other function or some other file inside some other file. They should not be tempered. Okay, so you need to take care of this. And now let's see the main function, how I have written. So WSA data is the one structure that I have used here, and let me tell you that this part from WSA data till this WSA startup, this function, if you are writing the program in the in your Linux or the Unix environment, then in that case you don't need to write this code WSA startup, you don't need to check. But in case you are writing your code in the Windows environment, then in that case you need to have this piece of code written at your end, because this WSA startup starts up the Windows socket environment, and that you must need to do before you call any of the socket function call, any of the socket API. Okay, so this is needed. So WSA startup is the function that initializes your Windows socket environment, and if it fails, then you need to simply exit, because you cannot do anything if it fails. Okay, and after that, I think I have explained it in the previous videos as well. So there are two arguments. One takes the a WSA start. If you want to see what argument it takes the version number. So I have taken 2.2 major and minor version 2 and 2, and here it takes the WSA data address, the address of the variable. So I have taken that, and if it is smaller than 0, then it's the failed WSA startup, and I have exited from here. Then the next call is the socket API call, which is used to open a socket at the server end. The first argument is the address family, and it should belong to the AF inet, which is the IPv4 family. If you have to use the IPv6 family, then you need to mention AF inet 6. Okay, so that is something. For that you need to include some other header files and all that. But if you want to support the IPv6 address families and IPv6 address handling in your server code, in that case you need to use inet AF inet 6. And then, as you know, that we are using the datagram socket. It's not a connection oriented socket. It's not TCP, so we are using sock dgram. Okay, otherwise we could have used the other one, which is used for the stream sockets, sock underscore stream, which is used for the TCP, because stream socket is used whenever you need an open connection between the server and the client for the server and the client for the communication to go happen. Okay, and then I have used this UDP protocol. So for that there is a macro IP proto underscore UDP, right? You can find it if you right click, and if you go to the peak definition, you will find it inside the file winsock.h. You can see this is the winsock.h, and here it has been defined. Okay, now the socket has been opened. If this fails, then you need to exit from here, because there is no need to move ahead from there. And then I have just done the mem set of these client, it should be client, and I have done the mem set on these sock header ends. So for the server and client, for both I need to do that. And then I have mentioned the same thing like srv.syn family. Sorry, whenever I make some videos, sometimes this itching in my throat start happening. So no worries. So srv.syn family, this is again the address family you need to mention, which is AF inet, and then you need to provide the port in the SIN underscore port. I think we have discussed this in the the TCP as well, the TCP program as well. So here it's like S2NS. Why we use S2NS, I have already explained in the previous videos. It is basically used to convert the convert the value that has been here in port to the network byte order, which is the least significant byte first order. So here it goes to assign to SYN port, and then since I am a server, so here I need to mention like SYN header dot s underscore address. So that is the IP address of your local server, local machine that I want to make my server. So in header any, I already told you, like when you mention in header any, then it automatically takes the local server local machine's IP address. So I'm going to make my own machine as the local server. So in header any is going to make it like whatever the IP address it is. So that will be assigned here, right? So and that don't need to, and this will already be in network byte order, right? So you don't need to use the inet underscore header. There is a function inet underscore header, right, where you provide some string which is the IP address, and inside this IP address you need to call it inside the inet header, so that it converts the IP address into the network byte order, right? I have explained about the network byte order in the beginning of the playlist. If you go there, and if you watch initial 2 or 3 videos, then in that case you will be able to understand that what is the meaning of the network byte order, what is big endian, what is little endian format. So all those byte orders are very important in case you are working on the socket programs. Now I'm just binding it. When you bind it, you just need to provide the socket, and then you need to typecast your server address like this, and then you need to provide the size of the SRV. So this is the way you can bind it, and if it bind fails, then you don't need to continue further, you need to exit. And here what I am doing, I am taking the len of the struct sock header, because I have to use it in this receive from. So here what I am doing in the receive from, I have taken this while loop. So this while loop will be continuing infinitely, receiving the messages from the client. Please note that this is a single client handling server that I have created. This is a single client handling. If you have to create a server which can handle number of requests from the clients, then in that case you just need to make it something like a multi-threaded server, where a number of threads are there and they are listening on the port, okay, on the same socket. So there will be number of threads, and they can listen to them. So I will demonstrate that program in some other video, maybe probably in the next video in the next week. In the next weekend, maybe that particular code will be available to you. but today we are going to discuss just this single client handling server. So this is the function receive from. It takes basically these arguments. The first argument is the socket. The second argument is the buffer, where you are going to receive the message from the client. And here I have declared it. And this is of 1024 characters. And apart from that, there is another, the flag. Just forget about the flags. These flags we will discuss later on. And then you need to just mention the client structure, right? This CLI. Why you have to mention that? Because this is the client structure where you will receive the information about the client. What does that mean? That means that you will receive the information of the client, like what is the IP address, what is the what is the subnet, and anything that you need to respond it to client, because here you must need to receive it, right? If you receive it, then only you will be able to send the information or send the reply back to the client, because this is the structure, the CLI, where all the information about the client will be received, and when you will reply, you will need this CLI back. You can see like send, in the send to function I have again used this CLI, right? So in this function, what you have to do in receive from, you just have to give the address of CLI. You need to typecast it properly, and then you need to give the address of nlen, which is the length of the sock header, which is the size of this sock header structure, right? So these are the arguments that you need to pass, and if you are able to receive it, and please mind it, this is a blocking call. Okay, this is a blocking call. If you, sorry, if you just put a breakpoint here, and if you just run your program, then this program will keep waiting here until you receive something from the client. So it is waiting, it is blocking here, right? So receive from is blocking here until you receive a message from the client, from any of the clients. So this will keep waiting here. Okay, so that's why this one will be only able to handle one client at a time. It will, even if there are number of clients, those clients will be coming one after the other, right? So they will be queued up like in a block manner. So until the first client is responded, the second has to wait, right? So this is the blocking call example, and this is handling only one client. Okay, as I already mentioned. Now if you have not received it properly, then this nret value will be smaller than 0, which is -1, and then you can simply print a message here like receive from has been failed, and then you can exit from here. Otherwise, in case you have received it properly, then in that case you can go to the else part, and in the else part you can print the message like message from the client, and you can format it like %s, and then you can simply print the message which has come from the client. Okay, so once you have received the message from the client, then you also need to send back the reply. So you are sending the reply, send to, you have to use the send to function. In case of TCP you use send, but here you need to use send to function. In the send to function, again you need to use the socket, and then the second argument is the reply, which is the buffer that you want to send to the client. And then what is the size of that buffer? I have taken it 1024, although I should have properly used it inside the sbuffer function, sbuffer variable. I should have assigned this message to, I should have assigned this message to the sbuffer, this particular array, the character array, which is a string. So there I could have assigned it, and then I could have taken the size here. Otherwise it's unnecessarily consuming the byte over the network. And after that you just need to provide the flags, which is for the time being you need to provide it as 0, and then the next argument is to which client, to which address you are sending this reply. So this is the client which you receive from here. So all the information you received here, and now you are using the same information here to send back the reply to the client. And again, if sending the reply fails, then it will print like response not sent, and it will exit simply. Otherwise it will print a message like response has been sent. So we will see all these things /n. So this is all about the server side, and now let's compile it. Before compiling and building, let me tell you that you need to provide the library here, which is wshock32.lib. If this library is not mentioned, then just go there and just edit and provide this library name and print OK and apply and then OK. Then you are ready to build it. Now let me build it. So it will be built here. Okay, no errors, build. Okay, so this was all about the compilation and the code structure of the server, UDP server. Now let's go to the client side. So this is the client side. If you see this, here I have again written the server and client SOC address, and again the port number to which I have to send the information. Again this WSA data till socket, everything is fine. You don't need to worry about, the code is same. And then I just did like this, the server to which I'm going to send the message. I have taken that server address, and here I have used inet underscore header, because in case you are a client, in that case you need to use this, and my address is 192.168.1.8. Okay, so which is the address of the server, and which is in fact my machine. This is the IP of my machine. So that's why it will simply send this send the message to this IP, and the port number is already mentioned here. This is the same port number as the server. And now I'm just going to call this send to function. I have already explained this send to function. This is the same thing. The only thing is that this time you don't need to bind it, because you are a client. You don't need to bind it. You just need to send. You just need to prepare a packet, which is the buffer. Packet is nothing. It's just the buffer, just the message that you want to send over the network to the server. And here you have in the buffer you have mentioned the message, and you just need to what is the message that I have sent here? Let me just check. I think I have not mentioned any message. So just do one thing, s printf. It's s buffer, and then percentile s, and then I just need to write like client message. Okay, so this is the message that I want to send. So basically, rather than s buffer, yeah, you can also mention here directly like whatever you want to send. But yes, let me just send it through like this. So send to, you have used the client socket that you have opened at your end. You have given the size of the buffer here, and you have given the buffer here. Then the flag 0, which we have already discussed. And here you need to mention that where you are sending the message, which is the server. And I have just initialized it here, the server to which I'm just sending the message. This is the information about my server, which is the code written here. Okay, and after that, after sending, if it fails, then I return. If it passes, then I'm just going to receive the message from the server. So here I have just did the memset of SRV, and then I have done the receive from the SRV, from the server. Okay, because I will be receiving it from this server, which is coming with the message which is coming from the server. And again, receive from all the arguments I have already mentioned. I have already discussed in the previous video, sorry, in the previous in this UDP server code. And here, if you fail to receive anything, and then in that case it will simply message like not able to receive the response, and it will return from here. Otherwise, it will say like I have got the reply from the server, and then percentile s, and the message or the reply whichever you got from the server, that will be printed. Okay, so after that, once your client is done, it will ask you to press any key to close the client. So once you close the client, then you can close your application. And one more thing, like if you want to keep sending the message, you can simply write a while loop here, right? And you can keep asking to the client like what message you want to send. And again, within the loop, you can keep asking for the message that you want to send, and keep receiving the message at the server end. So that you can do. So let us now just compile this one as well, this client code as well. So let me see. This client has been compiled, but here what it is saying, okay, this is the, okay, so this sprintf, okay, just forget about it. You need to mention this macro. So just need to remove this so that I can simply send the message for the demonstration purpose. So message from client. So the error that you saw here, it basically it will be fixed once you define this macro. And you know that how to define the macro. You just go there inside the C++ and inside the preprocessor, just define it here. Whatever it is saying, CRT secure no warning, just define it here, just like Win32 and all this define. Just come here and define that, and that's it. Okay, so I don't want to go into that mess, so that is why I have just simply sent a message like message to client. Let us now compile this. So this has been compiled now, one succeeded, and now let's see how to run it. Okay, so let me just start it. My server has started and it will keep waiting. Okay, so this server has been started. You can see like it is consuming the memory, so it has started now, so it is utilizing this much of memory, and you need to take care of like why this much memory it is taking, because it is inside a loop and just keep waiting. So that's how you measure the performance and you see like how your system is performing with your application. And now here I'm just going to run the client. So the expectation is that the client will send a message, which is the message like message from client, and this server will receive the message and will print it here. Okay, and then server will send a message which is reply from server, and it should be received at the client end, like here got reply from server, and it should be like reply from server. Okay, so let me just run this one as well and let's see what happens. Okay, got reply from server, reply from server. Okay, so server side as well we should be able to get few things. Okay, so here you can see like message from client has been received. Okay, message from client, you can see like message from client is the hard coded message that I have written, and this is the message from this is the actual message of client. So don't take it like it is duplicate. Basically I have used the same message here to demonstrate. So you can see like in code here, this is the UDP server, so I have written it like message from client, and here I have received the client's message. So that is why it is displaying like this, but you can see the two dots which indicates that this was the real message from the client. And then after sending the response that I have written here, response sent, and here I have received the response at the client end, and that is why client has written here got reply from server, reply from server. So this was the reply from server if you see in the code. So this was the reply from server. So I would suggest you that to use some better messaging. Okay, I have just used it for the demonstration purpose. Okay, so that's all about this client and server. So let me just close this client, and this was all about the UDP client and server. In the next video we will see that how you can manage number of UDP clients if there are more than one UDP client, and if you have to manage all of them, get the message from all of them. So we can basically create one I think we should create one chat server where a number of people are talking to each other. Okay, so that way we can simply you know uh, see a demonstration, a proper demonstration of the UDP with a case study. So in the next video, I will come up with some chat server, a small chat server where two people can chat together through a server. Okay, but before that, I think I need to make two videos. The next video will be how the two clients, more than two clients, or more than 10 or 15, or for that matter 20 up to 20-25 clients at a time, based on the load that our system can take, our server can take, whatever benchmark we are setting for our server. Based on that, we can create a server and we can maintain those clients which are connecting, which are trying to send the message to some of the some of the servers, some of the other clients. Okay, so that way we can create a chat server and we can keep sending the message. There can be one thread which is handling the message from one client to the other client. So that thing we can take care of. So there will be two more videos to make it more interesting, make it more understandable. So just be with me. In the next video we will discuss all those things. Okay, so I will share this code after I post my video. So in the comment section you will be able to see the code that I have written here for both the client and the server. So have a nice day. Bye bye, and please like my video, subscribe my channel, and be with me. There are number of videos, there are number of topics that we are discussing, not only socket programming, there is algorithm, there is other topics as well. So be with me and keep sharing my videos with your friends, and please don't forget to subscribe. So have a nice day and bye bye.